if there was any person who was probably ill-equipped to lead a church as large as Briarwood, I would think it would be Reverend Barker.
So it's not his preaching style, it's not his evangelism style, it's just the way he trusted the Lord. What he really cared about was that people knew Jesus.
Dr. Frank Barker's personal faith and passion for the lost became the heartbeat of a movement that has spread to over 125 university campuses around the world. Since 1978, campus outreach has reached over 55,000 students worldwide with the gospel. It's a multiplication movement. Every new disciple choosing to follow Jesus because another chose to make him known. And the genesis of that movement can be traced back to one man, Dr. Frank Barker.
You know, every organization ultimately reflects the values of its founder. And so Tom and Curtis's values are embedded in campus outreach, and those were heavily influenced by Dr. and Mrs. Barker.
There was a young man who had grown up in our church. He got rebellious as a teenager. I was disgusted with him, but my wife really cared for him, and he was working his way through college at Samford University here, and so when he was having girlfriend problems, he'd call her. And the only problem was it'd be 2 a.m. in the morning, and he'd be drunk. That went on for years, and then one night the phone rang, and 2 a.m. is him. Mr. Barker, let me speak to Ms. Barker. And I gave her the phone. He said, Ms. Barker, I want to tell you something. I've become a Christian. He said, what can I do to reach my campus? Well, we talked about it and worked on it and came on our staff to head up our college outreach. There was another fella in the class with him who had a similar burden, and they made a real impact. They drew up a plan to open a new campus each year for 5 years, and we began to franchise it out, and that's how it all happened.
It flows out of Dr. Barker's evangelistic heart, and so its primary role was to go onto campus to evangelize students who never had the opportunity to say yes to Christ.
Yeah, I just trust God to live his life through me and Christ to do that and produce the fruit.
Those values are manifest in a commitment to personal evangelism and not a dependence on events to bring people to hear a mass proclamation of the truth of the gospel, but an individual conversation over a meal, in a cafeteria, in a dorm room, a clear, personalized connection to their story and needs. So that's obviously a driving value that we see in campus outreach.
I think campus outreach's commitment to the Bible is a legacy of Frank Barker. I think campus outreach's commitment to the local church for the staff and trying to get the students to become, not just attenders, but members plugged into the local church goes back to values that Frank Barker embodied. I think the commitment to evangelism, I think the commitment to prayer, I think the commitment to faith, taking risk. I think a lot of that goes back to some of the ways that Reverend Barker led.
Campus outreach started here and then began to spread. We thought, well, gosh, we want to spread this across the world.
The opportunity to live, work, and be on mission in locations around the world. Places like London, Australia, Thailand, South Africa, and more.
Frank's legacy is still seen and felt on the college campus today.
He just had that heart to get the gospel to everybody. In some sense, that's the real key to really advancing the mission, is to keep going after the lost and to model that for your people.
What he desired more than anything was that people come to know the Lord in the way that he had come to know the Lord, which totally transformed his life.